Great.
Awesome.
Well, Zane, mind leading it? We have an agenda that we wrote out yesterday.
Yes. The agenda's on the event there in the events channel if anybody wants to take a look. But good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, December 5th. Happy December, everybody.
Yay. Great. I see that Marcus has joined. So, Zane, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you want to lead the meeting or?
Sure. So I believe the first thing listed here for today is this issue number 44, bidirectional agent communication. So what is that about? The agent protocol issues number 44.
Did we reach out to the sponsors of those RFCs and see if they could make this discussion?
Who wrote this? And if oh, this is issue 44.
Yeah.
I think we should probably talk about like issue specific things. Oh, this is Nick's comment.
So
From
one of
last
the
week.
things, one of the things I wanted to do was try to go through some of the open RFCs
Mhm.
by having a standard with which we say, hey, we would like to discuss this. Can you make our next meeting? And can we link this real quick in chat? I don't know if it was.
I just did.
Yes.
I linked issue 44.
And saying, hey, we'd like to meet this week. But I don't think we ever actually commented that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Puts is Puts in here? Puts in our
I can
meeting now.
go drag him in. I'll see if I can pull him in, but I doubt he has the context ready for it.
Oh, yeah. So this is specifically about WebSockets. Or are you more talking about a bidirectional in a REST approach?
I'm not the person who sponsored this, so I can't really discuss it.
Okay, so let's talk about it when Puts can come. We'll reach out to him next week. I'm gonna add it to do.
I'll just comment on the issue. Can you attend a meeting on the 12th? Can you attend the agent protocol?
And same with the topic concept. I think it's also. Oh wait, topic concept is Swifty. Is Swifty here?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, great. So let's do those a bit later. Okay, so we have Marcos in our Discord chat. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Thanks for joining us. We can hear you.
Perfect.
Great. So Marco works at. Correct me if it's wrong, but I know that you work with A16Z on agent specific project, and it just got launched, which is really exciting. It's called Jungle Gym, and I wanted Marco to give a demo of just the newly launched project to us. And Marco, for some background, these meetings are always recorded, and then we post it on YouTube afterwards, so that we allow more people to see. With that, take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so to give you some context, my background is in computer vision and robotics. I've been doing language models since around 2019, more or less, looking closely at what's happening. And one of the things that I find fascinating in general is, can we have additional data sets into language models that are not just text? And that includes, think of like agent trajectories is one. Normally it's not on the data sets, or it's very small. and I think we all are really excited of being able to do stuff, agent stuff with LLMs, right? And the reality is like still really early in the space. And one of the things that I've noticed is, well, there's very little benchmarks around agents in general. So like, how could you test your agent to see if it's performing well? And the reason why we know neural nets work really well is because we had a benchmark in 2012 called ImageNet, and then we saw like, oh, it turns out neural nets are actually a way to solve these problems. But before that, it was not obvious. So we don't have that for agents, and I think that's a problem. Like we don't have a good benchmark. We don't have enough benchmarks. We don't have enough data to test, and we're starting to see pieces of it come together. Really early still, like the data sets that are coming out are still very small, like Web Arena, Mind2Web, Agent Instruct. But they're still very limited. They're like less than 5,000 annotations altogether. So it's not a lot of data, but it's starting to be a thing, I think, in the field, and people are noticing the same thing, that we need more data, right? And we need more benchmarks. So Jungle Gym is one project we launched just this week, with the idea of trying to put everything together into one single playground. One is the data sets. There's amazing work that people are doing, like Mind2Web, Web Arena, and Agent Instruct, and a few other ones. Specifically, we wanted to focus on web agents. We saw that there are already agents out there that are trying to solve everything, but I think what is going to happen is probably it's going to get scoped into more specific scenarios, like an agent that does booking for flights, or an agent that does gel previews or PR requests, like stuff like that. So Jungle Gym is trying to solve that, and I'm going to quickly walk through how it works. And by the way, let me know if you have any questions. Oops, I will need to rejoin the Discord. Just give me a second meanwhile.
Nick, at the same time, if you can pull Pulse and Swifty into these meetings, we can discuss these issues towards the end of the meetings.
Yeah, I shot them a message. I am not confident that they will show up because it is super late for them right now.
Yeah.
And like, we just got out of a super long meeting, so I doubt that they're looking at their phones.
Makes sense.
But I shot them a message.
Awesome, I'm back. Sorry guys, needed to change my system settings. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Perfect. So this is basically Jungle Gym. You have over here just a little welcome message where you can see basically what it is. Most people are not very familiar yet with all the data sets, so we give a quick introduction to all of them. Mind2Web, Web Arena, Agent Instruct, and then we also have 3Budgeter, which is this parsing tool, LLM parsing tool for the DOM, specifically on pages. And this is one of the challenges we saw, is that one of the problems is like the data sets and the benchmarks, but the second one is like the interface with the DOM and being able to select the right HTML DOM elements once you have a task. So this is what it helps. There is a repo as well that includes everything. Everything is open source, of course, with some instructions and some examples of how to use it. But I want to walk you just very quickly of how everything is structured and what it includes. And by the way, let me know if you have any questions. I don't know if I'm going too fast or anything. But here we have Mind2Web. It does like the full overview of the data set. So it includes travel, shopping, and a few other categories, as you can see over here. This is a full data set annotated. So for example, there is a task, and what they did is they took all the actions in every single task, and they recorded everything in the HTML and the steps they took. So the full trajectory is there. And over here, you can see, for instance, a very specific website. Let's say we can go to like United or one of these websites. You can see all the annotations that they did with the tasks. So like find the flight schedule between London and New York for April 7th. And you can select here one of those tasks. And then one of the cool things you can see now is do the full agent trajectory simulation. So for example, you go over here and you have, this is a trajectory for this specific task. So this is the first one, the second one over here. This is before the click and after the click. The after the click is here, or after the action, agent action, basically. And you can just run the full simulation here. This is the ground truth of the data set. And obviously you can go back and explore a specific step that you want to see. And this is basically how Mind2Web works. This is accessible through an API, and I'm going to show you how it works very briefly. But basically you can see all the tasks that have been annotated very specifically so that you can test this same task with your own agent and see if it's performing the right sequence of steps and the right trajectory. Any questions here, by the way? Good. Okay, we can go to Web Arena. So Web Arena.
Quick question. So,
Sure.
sorry. Before, so the one you just showed is a simulation. So does that mean that in this case you're plugging in like a dummy simulation, a dummy agent that does? It's running the simulation. It's running the simulation with your agent specifically, right? It's not just outputting what is the data in Mind2Web.
Oh, that's a good question. So Jungle Gym is, all of it is not an agent. So there's no agent here. It's all ground truth data. So what you're seeing here is not the agent, but is the ground truth of the data set.
Got it.
So if you're running your agent, for example, on this same task over here, you can find the task ID. This is the annotation ID.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're running this specific task, like find the highest rated door, etc., you can just find all the ground truth on every single step that your agent should do. For example, click and pet, and then pet type, and so on. And you can see the ground truth of it. And this helps you as you're running your web agent step by step. You can see every single action that your agent is doing, and you compare this with the ground truth. So this is basically what it's doing over here. And this is the final step, which is basically the response, the final result. And you can see the screenshot of it. All these actions, every single action is accessible through an API. Then I'm going to show you a little bit the API. But it's basically, you can see that basically by just pasting the task or the task ID and just do side-by-side comparison with your agent and see if it's doing the right thing. Web Arena, it's a little bit more, includes more things. Web Arena includes a data set with the final response. So Web Arena doesn't include the trajectory. So it's not like step 1, click here, step 2, click here, and so on. It's more like this is the final response. So for example, let's say you go to a shopping website and you say, hey, I want to find the cheapest coffee available in this website. So what it does, it includes the final results. Like, oh, the cheapest coffee is this one and it costs $2, for example. So it includes the final response. It doesn't include the trajectory because an agent can take multiple routes to reach the same destination, basically. So it provides that. And together with Web Arena, there's 6 emulated websites that we are hosting as well. And basically, what these websites are, they're dummy websites. They're just trying to mimic a real environment, like a sandbox website that is fully functional. So for example, we can go into an online store, and here you can run your own agent. This is all, it's a really functional website, but obviously if you're buying something, you don't need to pay for it, which is the whole point of doing these emulated websites, is that you can actually click on it, you can add it to the cart, and you see it on the shopping cart, it's already here, and you can do the full sequence of buying the product without actually buying it. You can clear the cart, you can add new products, you can search on the whole website with your own agent. And there are 6 of them. There's GitLab, which is the community version, so that you can, for example, emulate a PR request, a social forum that is similar to like Quora or like Reddit, Wikipedia. There's an e-commerce content management system, and a map. So you can run a bunch of different tasks on these sandbox websites so that you can test your own agent. I wish there was one for flights, right? Like think of like something like booking a flight on United or American Airlines, whatever that is, and you can do the full sequence without actually going and buying the flight. And here I'm going to put an example of this data set. So, well, we can go and say, for example, on the shopping website. So what it does, here are all the actions. In this case, let's see, looking for what is the best price range of a Canon printer. This is the URL, this is the sandbox website, and it gives you the final response. This is the This is a result that your agent should come up with. So this is the ground truth response. There are about, I think, 1,200 annotations in total for this data set. And again, it's also available through the API so that you can do all the simulations on your agent. Any questions here, by the way, on that one? Cool. Okay, we can go. Yeah, go ahead.
So you said the API has all this accessible as well?
Yes, that's right. It includes
Okay.
everything. So you just pass the task. So here's the full. You can get the full list also from the API, so you don't need to manually look it up here. This website that you're seeing here is basically just a exploration tool for all the data sets, but in reality, you can access everything through the API. So if you want to access one specific task like this one, you're gonna get the final response, like this one. This is the final response.
Cool.
Yep. So you can test that with your agent. So like, let's see what your agent came up with, and this is a ground truth response. Compare it if it matches or not. And there are about 1,800, I think, annotations on this one, which is, it's very diverse. Still not a lot of data, but it's already pretty helpful for a lot of these agents. And here are the 6 emulated websites that you can just keep testing and doing all this stuff. Then there's Agent Instruct. This is the last data set. Agent Instruct is slightly different. Agent Instruct basically, they took some of these data sets like Mind2Web, and what they did is they formatted the data in a chatbot type conversation. So for example, let's look it up one quick one. So they took these data sets, Mind2Web, and there's an operating system data set, knowledge graph, web shop, and so on. So this is data set composition. And what you can do is, for example, in Mind2Web, you already saw part of it, but just to give you an idea how this is different. So it's now a conversational chatbot, basically. From human, you've seen this probably from the OpenAI API, from human, and then based on the HTML above, try to complete the following task, right? So they formatted this in a chatbot conversation. The reason being is you can use this data set to fine-tune your own model so that it can actually do very specific actions. And the reason why you want to fine-tune a model with this data set or this type of data sets is because normally these LLMs do not include this type of data in the training data set. Mostly it's common crawl and code and so on, but they don't include agent data sets. So I think that's why it's valuable to train your model, and you can train like Mistral 7B, which takes probably like, so I did a training run on this data set, and it took probably 45 minutes to train on one node, and an A100 node. So it costs probably like, I don't know, $100 or so. So it's actually not that expensive, and you can test this data set. That's the whole point of it. So this is not to benchmark your agent, but it's more to train it, to do a fine tuning on it. Any questions on this one? If not, I can jump to this part over here. So this is 3Bojger. As mentioned, one of the challenges that we saw is that a lot of agents don't have a common way of interacting with the web pages specifically, or if there is one, parsing is always a problem. Trying to come up with if you come up with a task like buy coffee, you need to search the box and then type coffee and then scroll down to the best price or whatever you're looking for. So doing this parsing of the HTML turns out to be a challenge for 2 reasons. One is you get the full HTML, the actionable items from the HTML or in the DOM, and then you need to select the right one. And here's where an LLM comes in. In this case, we're using GPT-4 Turbo to select that specific element. And it does a combination of things. It uses a combination of the paper called Tree of Thoughts, which is basically coming up with multiple responses, then doing a voting process on which one is the best HTML element you should select. And then from there, if that one doesn't work, you can go back to a previous action. And it takes some principles of I don't know if you saw this paper from called Bojger uses Minecraft to go and build stuff in Minecraft. But basically it takes a couple of concepts there. One is the curriculum. It comes up with a plan basically of what the agent should do, and I'm going to show you how it works. And it also saves the skills. As it's making progress through the web interaction, it's saving all the skills. Like, okay, this is the step, and it successfully book a flight or whatever it is. It saves that as a skill, so the next time you run a similar skill, it can use that as well. I'm gonna run something really quickly here. So for example, this is the shopping website. Think of it like a Shopify or something like that, and we can say buy coffee. And again, this is not an agent. It's a tool to parse the DOM. So this is just a tool for you to build basically your agent. So it takes a screenshot of it, and this is all the HTML elements that your page can interact, or your agent can interact with. The big question is like, which one, right? There's so many of them. And based on this task, which is buy coffee, it's going to give you the best candidates, or in this case, the best candidate. So it does like a selection of it. There's a bit of, there are a couple of chain of thoughts interactions there. That's why it takes a little bit of time. I think we might not need the chain of thoughts just to make sure it's selecting the right HTML element. But it does that, and it generates the curriculum. The first step generates the curriculum. That's why it takes a little bit of time. And then it suggests a piece of code as well that your agent can use if you want to with Selenium. Let's see. Any questions meanwhile, by the way? Oh, should be ready.
Just for the UI element side, user experience side, would it make sense to also display like just because this step takes so long to display like a semi like halfway step output, like dot output to users, just so that they can see like where the thinking is?
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And what is taking most of the time is probably like the curriculum. So you can see it already selected the right elements here. In this case, the first step your agent should do is find the element called Q. In this case, Q should be a search bar or something like that. Let me see. Very quick. Oh, it's here. Very quick. Here's Q. Yeah, and it's a search bar. So select the search, put the coffee there. And this is the first step, by the way. So it gives you this output. The HTML element that is selected is Q, which is a search bar. And then it's all the suggested code, as mentioned, for this first step. Your agent can interact with this. Like if you want to change this code, you can do it. If you want to change anything, you can do it. But like, it's basically the output of the API is the curriculum, which is the 9 steps, the code, the suggested code, and the element that your agent should interact with. And of course, this as well, the full interactive DOM. So that gives you like a overview of, this is Jungle Gym. I think that's pretty much it. There's the repo over here that includes a few examples. So for example, how to use testing your agent with Mind2Web. Here's the task from Mind2Web, and it gives you, if you just print here, it gives you the final response of what it should do. Sorry, this is Web Arena, not Mind2Web. It gives you like the final response to your question, is like if it gives the ground truth response. So you get it here. So you have your agent logic going over here. And then once your agent comes up with the response, you can compare it with this, which is the final one. And there's examples for every single data set. And of course, examples on how to use 3Bojegger. There is also a replit. This is for 3Bojegger, just how to test it and how to run it. You can just run this and test it. So you can see here with instructions on how to use it. And behind the scenes, this is, you don't need to know this, but this is just how it works. Basically, 3Bojegger, like the thoughts generator generates 3 thoughts, basically 3 candidates. It does the chain of thought, making sure it's the right one. If there's any improvements, it does the voting on the HTML element, and then it makes execution. If it's not the right one, it goes back to the next one. In this case, would be B, and it keeps trying that. This is just how it works inside. You don't need to know this because it's all behind the API, but like that's just to give you an idea on how the parser works. Any questions, by the way? This is the quick overview of everything. This page specifically is just to show, just basically visualize everything, but in reality, everything is behind APIs. Everything that is here, like all these 3 data sets and 3Bojegger, it's all behind an API, so you can use this. There's no keys or anything. It's all open. There's a repo, additional documentation with more details if you want to go a little bit deeper in the API. Here how it works, the full detail on the entire documentation, like the endpoints, what each endpoint is doing, the Web Arena endpoints, agent instruct, and so on. Any questions so far?
When I initially thought of Jungle Gym, for some reason I was thinking more about like a similar to Nick left, but Nick was a part of the AutoGPT team that ran on agents evaluation, but the agents that they work with has been non-web agents. They don't do web navigation, so it's really just executing tasks, calling APIs, etc. And they built an evaluation benchmark. And so I was imagining Jungle Gym to be an evaluation benchmark, and I was wondering if you guys have like ambitions in that direction, and what is kind of I know that so these data sets actually these data sets has been around for a while, right? Like what Mind2Web, Web Arena, Agent Instruct. So maybe Agent Instruct is the latest, but
I think it's
more
actually in that
recent.
order. I think the first one was Mind2Web. The second one I think was Web
Yeah.
Arena, and then the third one was Agent Instruct, which I think came a couple of months ago. Agent Instruct, Web Arena, I think it was around June or July. I don't remember. And then Mind2Web is a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I mean, we have an issue in the agent field, which is just like there's not enough data, right? Like, and
Right.
there's only just three these very arcane data set that's like been around for a while, and so like one thing that I've been thinking about is like what is even like a I don't even know what the right way to say it is, a browser or something that like can capture data in a way as users, any user, or like a browser extension, as users are interacting with it, we can collect data and obviously opt in from the user. That's one thought. And the other thought is just curious about if, A16Z has ambitions to go into the benchmarking space for web agents. And is how big is the ambition? Is it just web agents, or does it grow beyond that? So yeah.
Yeah. So I think the goal here is we're trying to create we're trying to put everything together as we see like things developing. The whole point is to help every developer that is building agents just with simple tools. I think these are relatively simple tools, just so that they get started and like even just the exposure of like the 3 data sets in one single API, all in one single place, so that people can explore the entire data set, do things with it, test, benchmark side by side. So that's kind of like the goal. This is and everything is open source. So the whole point here is like, and we already saw some contributions for people, which is awesome. So like, this is all open source. Hopefully we can get more people in the community also to add new things. I can see a few things coming soon in general, like just in the field. And this one is like, one is the computer vision part, which I'm very excited about. Like, I think one way of doing this is through the DOM, parsing the DOM and trying to understand the DOM a little bit better. The second one is like potentially do it with vision or a combination of both. And I don't know if it's going to be fully vision or a combination of DOM and vision. But like once you just have the screenshot of the website, you can just go and put the mouse on the search box and type and so on. So I think we're going to see that soon, hopefully, and maybe this becomes part of Jungle Gym too. There are some interesting models that are like the Lava 1.5, where you can start potentially trying things with it. I've tested it for wave actions specifically. It's not there yet, but I think with a potential fine tune on a data set like this, or ambition data set, might help these models. The second part to your question, like if there is something that we can use to record, for example, like the actions and so on. So Mind2Web, what they use for tracking the user or to create this data set, they use Playwright, which is this tool for recording all the actions. It was originally not for creating data sets, it was for testing websites. But basically it records everything as you're booking a flight or clicking through stuff on websites. It's recording everything as you do the full interaction. So that being said, when they released Mind2Web, they didn't release that tool. They released a data set, but for some reason they didn't decide to release the tool. And I thought it would be valuable to have a tool like this. It's a little bit more than Playwright. It's actually a desktop app that you run and you install. But I think that there could be something valuable to create more data in this space, because definitely you're right. We need more data. It's very small. These data sets altogether is like 4,000 or 5,000 annotations, which is very, very small. So we're seeing more, which is good. I think like I already know a couple of our teams that are working on creating new data sets a little more comprehensive, different fields. Right now, what we thought is like, I think web agents, if we try to narrow it down, is a good thing. Like if we try to do coding and if we try to do web actions and if we try to do all this other stuff, it becomes a little bit more chaotic. But if we're just focusing right now on web agents and these data sets, I think could be valuable in general. Just like being a little more narrow. And I think like the ambition was like we have one agent that does everything, but it's as we know, it's very, very hard. So I think scoping it down to something smaller, and maybe you have a really good agent that is doing, I don't know, booking flights or making reservations on restaurants, or maybe that's the way it probably could go. Just a little bit more narrow. So yeah, that's kind of like the idea, and hopefully we get more people involved in the community. That's been the plan.
Thank you. Any other questions from our community? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, thank you, Marco, for the presentation. And feel free to stay around. We're gonna kind of discuss, this is one of our weekly meetings, so we're gonna discuss what you know, our operations in terms of like the projects that we have going on. And so we have a couple updates. One is we met with the Sidekick team, who is going to help us implement the auth endpoint in Agent Protocol, and so that is underway. And secondly, we are going to have local meetups. So the first local meetup we have in our Discord, we have an Austin, Texas channel, and obviously, if you want to create a new city in your city, you should be able to create a channel. But if not, like we'll figure out the permission, and you can text me, and I'll give you the permission to be able to create a channel for your city. So we have the Austin, Texas meetup that is organized by Nick, who was just in this meeting, and organized by Nick and Zane. I believe Zane is around in the area. And we have the first Bulgaria chapter meeting going on soon. Oh, thanks, Marco, for
Thank you.
joining.
Yep. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, and so that's underway, and so like I want to enable people to kind of meet, organize their local meetup to talk about Agent Protocol or Model Metadata Central or anything related to AI engineers. And so if you would like to create cities, just PM me, private message me. And then I'll work with Eric to get Model Metadata Central merged to AI Engineer Foundation repo. And so that's something that I have on my mind. And Zane, do you mind talking about the issues and pull requests?
Sure. So right now there's a couple of issues that and help wanted that we're looking for. So one of the big things is the CLI. HJ is taking a little time off for vacation for the December month and stuff. So he will be back on to it. But if anybody's interested in working on a Rust CLI, then any help is greatly appreciated, and we would enjoy that. That's
Zane, do you mind do you mind adding a couple sentences on like what exactly is not
Sure.
yet done, and to see if people are interested.
So the point of the CLI, right, is to be a client in CLI form that's able to integrate with the agent protocol. And right now that is it's mainly the integration with the protocol and fetching and things like that that need to be implemented. So it's, I would say, probably about halfway done or so, but it's a Rust-based CLI that we're planning on releasing that should help make it easier for creating automations and CI/CD pipelines for the agent protocol, along with building agents, ideally. So that would be one of the big tools for an agent developer that's using the agent protocol that would be able to integrate with that in an easy way, and also be able to build extensions and things on top of it, similar to VS Code extensions that use things like Black or the Rust formatter or Prettier and things like that. Usually these are CLI tools that the extensions are built on top of, and so if we were to create a extension for VS Code that makes it easier for like a dev tool for an agent developer, then ideally it would be built off of this CLI tool. So the whole purpose of it is to be a nice, clean, simple, and very lightweight application to make it easy to integrate with other things. So if anybody is interested in working on that, it's a Rust-based application. So let me know. The other thing is on the JavaScript side. We have somebody, Total Dev, will be working on issues 82 and 83, and there is an issue 84 for the JavaScript SDK. That's this one here, a storage abstraction for persisting task objects and artifacts to other storage locations like Redis. And this is something that we could work on. If anybody's interested in working on that, let us know. Or hop into the GitHub and make a pull request at whenever you want to, because that's what that's for. So, but everything else with the JavaScript SDK, that's the only one that's actually a sort of out of date. There is a client that we'll be working on as well. So that way we have both Python and JavaScript SDK and client available for people to work on and build on top of. The Python SDK and client are up to spec and everything's good to go there. The only thing with it is we're looking at creating a V2 soon. We have a milestone on the GitHub page where we can see all the issues that are related to the V2 release, like plugins and the info endpoint and changing certain things about the specification. And so we're talking about creating a separate branch for the V2 changes. If anybody's interested in working on those V2 changes, let us know as well. And the other thing is the Agent Protocol site, agentprotocol.ai. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done there, mainly correcting links and making sure that everything is up to date with the spec, which I'm pretty sure the spec is up to date, but the links are out of date because of the transition back into a monorepo structure. So that's the big thing there, and that's something that I plan on talking about soon with some members of our community. So hopefully that'll be taken care of soon.
Are you still doing these weekly office hours, and how have the last couple of times been? Mind sharing?
I haven't been doing a weekly totally open office hour, but I have been meeting with individual people, and they've been turning out pretty well. A couple people are interested, and majority of it goes into explaining the agent protocol and making sure that people understand, what's going on and what our source of truth is, which is the specifications on the GitHub under the schema folder on the monorepo here. I like to use the YAML because it's a little bit cleaner, but that's the source of truth for our for the agent protocol. And as we start to work on the V2, this is what we would be editing for the most part, along with the other packages that are based on top of it. So Pallav, you said you're a full stack developer and you don't know AI and agent protocols. Is there any job for me which I can help? And actually, yes, I was going to talk to you about the agent protocol site, updating links and getting that taken over. And then there's definitely some conversation there that we could have. And I do want to talk to you about the agent protocol itself, so that maybe you can get some more understanding of it and and be ready to work on different things with it. I think it's relatively straightforward as far as protocols go, so it's not that big of a deal. If you're a full stack developer, it should come naturally to you, I think. Once you grok it, I guess. Um, and then Juan, you said can't speak today. Still interested in doing the Java versions of the SDK. Yes, absolutely. If you have any questions on that, let us know, because if you're wanting to build the Java SDK or the Java client, I think you're building the SDK out, right?
Juan Red, I would recommend booking a time with Zane to talk about getting to learn about the agent protocol. I think Zane was mentioning that he was scheduling time last week with individuals, trying to get them onboarded, yeah, so we can definitely get you up to speed on what the agent protocol is about. Pallav, I think Zay mentioned yesterday to me that you guys are meeting right after this. So I think we can get you started on ways that you can help there.
Yeah. Juan, if you want to meet up and talk about it in more detail, I'm down to do that. Maybe we can record that as well and create a little tutorial video or something along with your questions. So if you want to do that, but definitely we can meet sometime either today or sometime in the next week to discuss, and I can answer any of your questions.
Sorry. Awesome. I think according to the weekly doc that we kind of exhausted the schedule for today. And so I think, yeah, I think the rest of the discussion is centered around a meeting time to kind of teaching people learn more about agent protocol. So I think Zane, we can stop the recording now.
Sounds good.
And I'm gonna also stop the recording here.
Thanks for
I
everybody
double
tuning in,
recorded just
and
yeah.
anybody watching on YouTube, feel free to join us on the Discord. That's where we mainly hang out. So let us know, and we'll keep you posted in the future. Have a great day, everybody.